Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is so exciting for me because it's me preparing to go to Egypt. In less than 2 weeks, I'm gonna go on a Trova trip with Gavin from Gavin Reads It All. I'm gonna link his channel down below. It's gonna be so exciting. It's like the first time I'm ever doing something like this. I only know Gavin from BookTube. I only know everyone else going on the trip from the chat that we now have going on, but also like from the chat on his channel or on his Patreon. So I don't know any of these people like face to face. The only thing I know is that we all love to read, that we all love Gavin, and that we all want to get to know Egypt. If you've asked me like a year ago if I ever thought I would get to go to Egypt, I would have said hell no. I don't think I would ever go there by myself. So this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and when Trova Trip and Gavin put out feelers, like if people wanted to go to Egypt, I was one of the first to be like, oh my god, yes, yes please. So I'm so happy that I got one of the highly sought out places on his trip, and we're gonna go visit 3 different cities in Egypt. We're gonna go on a night train, we're gonna go down the Nile River on a boat, and I can't explain how excited and scared I am, because usually I love to plan every detail of everything that I do when going on vacation. This time around, I'm putting all of that into Trova Trip's hands. Maybe that's a new kind of experience as well, just going with the flow, not having to worry or have the responsibility for anything. So here we go. The one responsibility that I do have is to decide what I want to bring with me to read, because of course we are all readers on the trip, and we're gonna have like special time to ourselves to just read, like have reading sprints live in Egypt, in the hotel, by the pool, like on the boat, wherever we get some time. I'm pretty sure we're all gonna read if we're not gabbing the whole time. But that of course makes it very important to decide on what to read during our trip. And of course the first thing that I thought of was to read something to do with Egypt, that is set in Egypt, that has like maybe a mythology from Egypt in it. And I was surprised how few books I found about that. I myself only had 3 books on my shelf that are kind of connected to Egypt. Actually, I had a 4th. And it's funny because I read that one, the German edition of it, when I was a teenager. And I remember having it maybe like a year ago. I had it in my hand and I was thinking about unhauling it. So I might have unhauled it, or it's in my unhaul pile on top of the other shelf that I have in the other room. At this moment, I don't really see myself going through all of those just to find that one book. I might later on, because it's gonna irk me to not know. But I do remember liking that one, and when I was scrolling through like recommendations about books set in Egypt, I found that one. And I was reading the synopsis and I was like, I remember this one. And like, why do I remember? And then I remembered that I did actually read that one. So that might be something fun to visit once I'm back. So I have 3 books that one I've already read, but I will most definitely take it with me, because already in our chat we thought that we might do a buddy read of this, and that is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I have already read this. I don't really remember much of it. I remember the beginning, not much else. Let me check what I rated it the first time. Ooh, actually I gave it 4.5 stars, so I actually liked it. I don't know why I didn't continue with the series, but yeah, I don't really remember much of this one, so I've always thought that I would go ahead and reread this and then go on. The city in this is supposed to be kind of depicting Cairo, so it isn't really set in our world, Egypt, but it is very much inspired by it, and it has like a djinn in it, and it has a lot of action, a lot of politics. I think it's gonna be fun to read this with other people and just get back into the story, and maybe while reading it I will remember some of it, but not sure. That's not gonna happen probably. So this is a definite yes. It's already like a very big format and heavy, so I don't know, probably half of my luggage is gonna be books, to be honest. The other 2 books that I had on my shelf, one is an Agatha Christie. At some point during my time in college, I decided on buying a whole box of these editions of Agatha Christie's books. They're all in German. Now I'm kind of regretting it because I kind of want to read them in the original. But I did find this one. In German it's called Rächende Geister, the translation from Death Comes at the End. and it is the one Agatha Christie that is set in Egypt during like ancient times. So this will be perfect to read, maybe even read with other people who also have this one, and maybe we can do like a little solve along, which would be perfect for Gavin because he does Agatha Christie solve alongs. So fun. And another book that I've already had on my shelves that I've already started is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibáñez. This is the official buddy read that we're doing on the trip, so a lot of people have yet to start it or will start it during the trip, and then we will have kind of a live discussion while we're there. I at that point already reached this point, so I only had like this much left. So I decided that I wouldn't take this one with me because when I was first reading it, I was kind of disappointed by the story. I didn't really feel any love for it, so that's kind of why I soft DNF it at this point, and I haven't picked it up, I think, since May. Like I said, I won't be bringing this one. I do have the sequel as an ARC, which is coming out while we're on the trip, so I might just go ahead and finish this one while still here in Germany, and then once I'm in Egypt I'm gonna start the second book while everybody else is kind of discussing this one. Already kind of regretting that we're probably gonna have like a picture with everyone holding up their copy, and I'm not gonna have it, but I'm not just gonna bring this one so that I can hold it up while taking a picture. I'm not that crazy. But of course I couldn't stop there, so I got some books that have Egypt somewhere in the story, and I thought I would do a little quick try a chapter and try to find another book that I might take with me, because the reasoning behind it is that I do have my phone where I could read on my app, and I also might bring my tablet where I could read. But I'm not sure how often we can charge our devices, so I'm not sure like how much I really want to use them for reading, just to make sure that I have enough battery for like photos and everything else. So I think that I want to take some physical books with me so that I always like whip them out whenever I have time. Also hoping for some of them to be a bit smaller, the format, because then I can just put it in my bag and not have it take up too much space. So the first one that I have is something that probably everyone is going to mention when they talk about Egypt and fiction and everything, and that is the first in the Kane Chronicles, The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan. I have read, I think, the first 2 books of the Percy Jackson series. I never continued with that one. I've never read anything of the Kane Chronicles, so this would be a first. I'm hoping I don't need to read the other series before reading this, or else I might just be a bit lost in this one. But in this one we do have an Egyptian god that is unleashed upon the world. This is actually a new copy that I ordered, and it came with like ripped pages. It's not in a very good condition like on the outside either, but inside it's just like really broken and not pretty. And I already told the people where I bought it, I was like, nope, I'm not gonna take that. They didn't want it back, so I kept it. I got my money back. So this might actually be perfect to bring with me, and then if I don't have enough space in my luggage going back, I could just leave it there. Silver lining, I guess, but I was hoping to get a pretty copy when I ordered it, but yeah. What are you gonna do? If I don't feel like reading this big book, which is over 500 pages, I might just go ahead and read the graphic novel, because this is pretty and short and I should get through it very quickly. Which is also why I think this should be something that I read before, so I don't have to take it with me all the way there, read it in half an hour, and then have to carry it around the whole time. So I might read this like right before going so that I'm kind of getting a feel for it. But I, again, am worried that if I read this, I might be spoiled for this. So I think it's gonna be either or. Or like this first and then this. So I know. Very hard decisions to make today. And then I have 2 more books here to show you, and those are The Chaos of Stars by Kirsten White and then Colleen Hooke's We Awakened. I think this is a very like typical YA fantasy, and in this one the girl stumbles upon an Egyptian prince with godlike powers, and they have to go around and find his brothers, raise them from the dead, and stop an evil god. And in this one I think we're not really in Egypt. I think we're gonna go to California but I do know the author. I don't think I've read anything by her, but I have other books on my shelves, like on my TBR, so I thought I would give it a go. Again, YA. Not sure if these are going to be cringy. I think both of them have been out for a while. Yeah, this one was published in 2015 and this one was published in 2013. So it's been quite a while. So the YA fantasy romance genre will probably have evolved since these two. But it will be fun to see the first couple of chapters and see if I like them and see if I want to continue. Another book that I want to try, where I have the audiobook at the moment, but not any physical copy or even an ebook, is The Daughters of Istihar by Hadir Azbai. I heard great things about them, but just from the synopsis I wouldn't have picked it if it weren't for this Egypt trip, so I will just try the first couple of chapters via audiobook and then see if I want to get a copy to read. So those are the books that have kind of an Egypt theme to it. Now I also have a big stack of books that are just books that I might want to read, even if they don't have anything to do with Egypt. So the first one that I found when I was looking for the Agatha Christie one, it was actually another one of hers, and this is a translation of Death in the Clouds. And in this one, Poirot is on a plane and someone gets murdered and he has to solve it. So I was kind of thinking maybe of reading this on my trip there and or back, but I think if I bring in Agatha Christie, it will only be one of them. And I'm not sure if I'm in the headspace for like solving a crime while also trying to get my bearings going there. So this might be a better fit for sometime else when I'm on a plane. The next book I already owned as an ebook, and I just on a whim bought the physical copy as well. I have high hopes for this one, and that is Cities of Smoke and Starlight, the first book in the Gate Chronicles by Ali Ernest. And the reason why I thought of this book while planning this trip is that the author, I don't know if you know these kind of reels where the authors are like looking for this kind of vibe from this movie, but you want epic fantasy in it, or like you want this romance but you want an adventure story. She does this a lot, and all of her like references are movies that I love, that I'm obsessed with. She said it's if you want more of the romance from Evie and Rick from the Movie franchise. We just rewatched it yesterday with Gavin and I'm obsessed with their with the tension and with the chemistry between these two. She also compares this romance to the one in Anastasia. Hello, yes. And also she said this is kind of an adventure story for the people who like Treasure Planet or Atlantis, and I love both of those movies. They are like some of my favorites. So all of these are amazing. All of these I kind of want more of. So she my expectation is high. Now she put it out there, now it needs to deliver. I don't think it has any Egyptian vibes whatsoever besides maybe like the romance plot, but I don't care. I think it's great. Then I have some books here that have this kind of desert feeling or theme to it. We have Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. I think this is actually Indian inspired, but I have already read a couple of pages of this for another trial chapter and I really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping to get back into it. Heard great things about it as well. And then I have The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. I wanted to read this for the longest time. I actually had the ARC for this. So I do have an ebook for this, so I'm not going to take this special edition with me because hell no. That stays safe and sound here on my shelves, but I would like to try maybe a couple of pages of this or maybe a couple of chapters just to see if I want to read the ebook while we're away. I had thought at the beginning that this might be inspired by Egyptian mythology, but actually it is a reimagining of 1001 Nights, and I think that is more like a Middle Eastern setting, so it doesn't quite fit, but I might just read it anyway. Heard great things about that one as well. And then maybe a year ago or so I read The Kind of Poison by Natalie May, and I was surprised with how much fun it was. I remember I was just trying it out when I was having a reading date with a friend of mine, and I just couldn't put it down. I don't really remember much of it, and that's kind of why I would maybe take the first book with me to reread it because I love it, and I think this would be like a perfect book to take pictures with. Gotta be honest. Or I might actually take the sequel with me because I haven't read this one yet, but it is hardcover, so it might be like a little bit heavier. I don't know, but I have wanted to continue with this series, so maybe this is the push that I need. Next up is Princess of Souls by Alexandra Christo. I don't know why. I think I scrolled through a list of Egyptian themed books and this was on it. I don't get Egyptian from whatever is in the synopsis, so I'm not sure if this is even closely related to anything Egyptian themed, but I did like To Kill a Kingdom, so this is a possibility. And then I have two books that have nothing to do with Egypt at all. I just want to read them and I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to them in October. And that is Aidan Thomas's Celestial Monsters. This has been on my TBR for I think 2 months now. And this is the conclusion to the Sunbearer trials and I really want to get to it. I love the story, I love the protagonist. It's so good. If you haven't read Sunbearer Trials yet, you have to. It's really good. So this might be it. Or I will take Sonnenerben by Ria Winter with me. This is the newest book from a friend of mine. She just published this and I just haven't had the time to get into it. I know that I will love her writing style. I know the kind of things that are gonna happen in this story because we talked about it. So I know I'm gonna like the story, and I think this is actually the perfect cover. And it's loosely translated into The Heirs of the Sun. So perfect again for kind of the desert setting. I don't think the setting has anything to do with the desert, but sun, heat, warmth. I'll take any excuse to take this with me. And I think it's beautiful. So as you can tell, I have an abundance of choices that I could take with me. These are just the ones that popped out at me that I might want to bring with me. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna try a chapter of these because these are the Egyptian books. I only have a certain amount of books that I can take with me. So if these fill the slots, sorry to all the other books, but they have to intrigue me a lot for me to actually take them with me. If they don't, they'll stay here. I also want to hopefully finish this one today, so that I don't have to bring this whole book with me. All of this I wanted to do yesterday, but after work, instead of reading and filming, I actually took a nap and only woke up in time for the watch along for the Mummy movies. So that didn't happen yesterday, but actually today is a perfect day to do this. I woke up early because of said nap, and so I went out for breakfast today and I started going through like the first 150 pages of this, just leafing through and trying to get my bearings of the story and how these characters interacted. At the 150 page mark, I started rereading for real, because even though the bookmark says I'm on page 246, I don't really remember what happened during like the last 80 pages or so. So I thought I would just start here halfway through and just read the second half of this book. And just from the parts that I was rereading, especially like the banter between the main character and her love interest, I think this might actually be one of the situations where you have to read the book at the right time, because I remember being very meh about the whole book when I was first reading this, but just reading the banter between Inez and Wit had me chuckling. So I think I might actually like the second half a bit more than the first half. I do remember that a reason for me not liking it as much as other people was that I'm kind of halfway through and we're only now getting to the part where we're actually going on a boat on the trip, on an excursion to find out what happened to Inez's parents. This is about a girl from Argentina in the early 19th century, and she receives the message that her parents had gone missing. Everybody assumes they're dead and everybody's kind of brushing over the details. So she goes on an adventure, going there by herself, trying to figure out what's happening, but her uncle, who's now her guardian, is kind of trying to keep her away, trying to send her back to Argentina, and his right-hand man is Wit, and Wit is the love interest in this, and like I said, I already enjoyed their banter. While reading the first half, it was kind of, it took a while for anything to happen. The only things that are happening in the first half is her trying to get there, trying to become a part of the team, and everybody's kind of like pushing her away. There are a lot of secrets behind everything, so I do want to know what happens, and I do think that it has the potential to become a better read for me, just because if there is going to be more action and more reveals and so on, I think I'm going to like it a bit more. I do love her as a character. She's very like spunky. I love that she doesn't take any crap. I love that she can just give as much as wit during their banter, so she's not the wilting wallflower that he expects, but she is very sarcastic as well, and she doesn't take any of his flirtation too seriously, at least in the beginning. I might actually enjoy this a bit more, so I'm happy that I have the sequel ready for my trip, and like I said, I'm hoping to finish this one today, or at least before my trip, but hopefully today. I'll come back once I finish the first chapters of some of these books, and I will give you an update. Hopefully I will find an amazing read for my time in Egypt. A couple of pages of The City of Brass. I didn't read quite one chapter because I already know that I'm going to take this with me because of the 4.5 star rating that I gave it before, as well as the buddy read that we're going to do. And just reading the first couple of pages again reminded me that I really enjoy the writing style of this. And I said before that it isn't in our world, but it is. It does take place in Cairo and in Egypt. We also have like a little map going on, and we see that apparently, because this is called the Daevabad series, and Daevabad isn't quite in Egypt, so I'm guessing our adventure will take us over the border into other territories. But just from the first 8 pages, we already got kind of like a history lesson of the Turks being there, and then the French having overtaking them right now, and so on. And we already had a bit of insight into the magic of the main character, Nari. I will definitely take this one. I'm glad that we're doing the buddy read. This is going to be fun. Now, the other 4 books that I mentioned before, I read the first chapter of the Agatha Christie one, and I don't think I'm going to take this. And I said before, this is the only one that is set in Egypt. Of course it's not. Of course there is Death on the Nile, but I already know the story of Death on the Nile, so I'm not gonna take that one, even though that would have been perfect to read on the boat that we're taking. This one, I'm not sure I'm gonna like. It is taking place like in ancient times. Funnily enough, it's about the daughter of Imhotep, which is the baddie, the big baddie in the Mummy movies. So that would have been fun to see, but I don't think that it aged very well. There has already been kind of like throwaway comments about the slaves, and also about women not being able to read and them not kind of needing to. So I don't know. I also don't know if I'm going to be in the headspace to read this kind of writing style, because it's not my favorite. It would be fun to have like a little solve-along, and if we're doing a buddy read of this one, I'm not sure if there's going to be time to do a buddy read of this one. Probably not going to take this one, and I do think that this cover just does not work for the story. Anyway, after that I started Reawakened, and I actually really like this one. I was skeptical at first because we have a little prologue where we are back in ancient Egypt, and we are getting like a little insight of what happened at court. There were 3 kings who were trying to save their kingdoms. They decided on worshipping another god in order for their countries to prosper, and all of their wives became pregnant, so they were very like happy with everything that happened, and were very much happy to worship this new god. But when all of their sons were of age, there was kind of like a plot twist, since the god then wanted a sacrifice, which were the 3 sons that his benevolence gifted these royal families. After this, the first chapter brings us to New York in modern times, and we follow the main protagonist, Liliana. She is only daughter of a very wealthy couple. Already in the first chapter, we got a lot of insight, kind of like info dumpy, about her situation. She is a senior in high school. She's about to go to college. She wants very different things from her parents, who expect her to excel and are giving her just enough freedom for her to think that she has choices, but really they have like a high expectation of what she's supposed to do with her life. And she is now on her way to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where she just likes to hang out and study art. And she's kind of thinking about her future when she hears something in the new Egyptian part of the museum. Nobody's supposed to be there, so she goes and investigates, and she sees a sarcophagus which is supposed to have a mummy inside, but it doesn't, and there are footsteps leading away from the tomb. So I liked that cliffhanger at the end of chapter 1, and I do enjoy the writing style of this. There was a very different approach to the writing style from way back when, and then the New York setting. The New York setting kind of felt like a Gossip Girl episode because of just who she is, this rich girl. So it will be interesting to see when these two worlds collide. I might read another chapter later just to see if I like the interactions between these people, because I just need to know how the dialogue is gonna be. Is it gonna be cringy? Is their interaction gonna be like lust at first sight or whatever? Other than that, I think this is gonna be fun to read. Then I read the first chapter of The Case of Stars, and with this one, like with all of these, we don't really have the greatest parents represented. So with this one, like I said, high expecting parents, we didn't really see them on the page. With this one, we actually have Egyptian gods as the parents, and the main character, her name is Isadora. She is their current daughter because apparently her mother is getting pregnant every 20 years, so there's a lot of offspring. So she basically replaces her latest child with a new one every 20 years. And now Isadora feels very like not seen because her parents decided not to make her immortal. So she already knows she's gonna die at some point, and they don't really care, it seems. So horrible parenting in this one. I was kind of confused just being thrown in there with the family dynamics and what that entails, and we didn't really get to see much of the world that we are living in. I think we are in Egypt in this one, but it's not set, it didn't say it. But the writing and the dialogue is very modern, and I do think that later on, I think I read a synopsis somewhere that she's going to California to get away from her family. So I'm not sure how much of the rest of the story will come back to Egypt or Egyptian goddesses or whatever. I did find it very interesting, the idea of just being forgotten from your own family, not being important, the way that it made her feel. I already got that from the first chapter. I might want to continue this one, but I'm not sure if I want to take this with me because I don't think it's going to take place in Egypt. And then I tried the first chapter of the Kane Chronicles, and I'm not sure about this one. I do think it's going to be action-packed. I do think it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, like also like with the magic system. In this one, we follow 2 siblings. We follow Carter and his sister Sadie. Their father is a neglectful dad. Really don't like the way that he's described in this, but it seems that someone is after them, and the father is very nervous. Now they're on the way to the British Museum, which is a fun like throwback to the Mummy movies right now, and we've already seen a bit of magic being done, but the main characters don't know anything about that. And the reason why I'm kind of wondering if I should continue reading this is not because of the story, because I actually do think this is going to be fun to read, but it is about the writing style in this, because we get the story told to us by Carter, the main character, and I think later on Sadie. In the beginning we have like a little warning, and it says that the author, like Rick Riordan, only transcribed a digital recording of what happened. So this is the story told to us by the characters. That is kind of something that I don't really like. It's kind of like a journal entry where you already know they are gonna survive whatever is happening because they were alive to tell us about it. And then we have sometimes like brackets where it's like, shut up Sadie, I'm getting to that part. And that kind of always takes us out of the story, because then he's like, now I'm gonna describe my sister to you. Remember, when I'm saying this, she's standing right next to me, so I have to be careful what to say. So I don't know, it's just weird sometimes. I don't like that kind of writing. So we have a definite yes, and we have two maybes. This is a very probable, and I do think this isn't gonna be the best ever, but I do think it's gonna be a fun thing to think about while in Egypt. So I might just try another couple of chapters of other books. I still have the audiobook for the Daughters of whatever, and I will come back to you with an update after that. I'm such a dum-dum. I totally forgot that this arrived. A Master of Jinn by, I'm gonna butcher that one, P. Jelly Clark. This is the first full novel of a series, but I know there are at least 2 short stories before this one. The first one being A Dead Djinn in Cairo, and then The Haunting of Tramcar 015. I think it's like 150 pages or something. I might get that one as a paperback. Right now I think I will read the first book, A Dead Djinn in Cairo. I think I'm gonna read that as an ebook. That is only like 45 pages, just to get into the world building and everything, and to figure out if I want to take this or the second book with me to Cairo. Just looking at my stack, I already know all of my luggage is gonna be books, but it's fine. It's fine. I also had some ebooks I didn't mention before that I might be interested in reading. One being Inkwitch by Lindsay Sparks. When I looked up books that are set there, I discovered this one. I would have gotten a physical copy, but I hate the physical copy, the cover of it. So ebook it is. Yeah. Me being a dum-dum, totally forgot that I had another physical copy of a book set in Egypt. So I heard good things about the series, so I am intrigued to start with the ebook and just see if I like the writing style. I think I started the audiobook for it once and I didn't quite like the narrator. I'm just gonna go with reading it physically for now. Let's go ahead and do that. Also, I'm on sprints with Becca at the moment, and it's good to have company. Okay, so I read the first chapter of The Daughters of Isdia? Damn it, I heard it in the audiobook. I don't remember how they pronounced it. I really like this. I didn't know what to expect going in, but I am enjoying the writing style and the protagonist, her view and her wishes for her future, because she wants to become a soldier. Kind of has a Mulan feeling to it, being like, I want to honor the family, and she kind of has like a little water power that no one in her family has. She's the only one, and she kind of wants to learn more about it. She wants to go to an academy where she will learn more about it, but instead her family wants her to marry a man because they are in debt, and she's the only one who can save the family. So really enjoying that one. I didn't think that I would. Now I also like the audiobook, so I might just keep the audiobook and not get a physical copy. Then I started A Dead Djinn in Cairo. I read the first chapter. Well, not really the first chapter, because I think the whole thing is one big chapter, but I read like the first passage until like there's a break in it, and I really enjoyed this. I already love the world building. I love how we are in Cairo, and it's supposed to be like 1912, but I think it has more like a steampunk feel to it. There are djinns, like it starts with the dead djinn who kind of seems to have killed himself. So I'm guessing this is going to be like one case that they're solving in this one, and then it elaborates and goes into a bigger plot with the other books. So I think I might just order the copy of the second book, because it's only going to be about 140 pages or so. That will be like a very small edition so that I can take it with me. So I might read the rest of this short story before going to Egypt, and then the second book in Egypt. And then I started Inkwitch by Lindsay Sparks. Really enjoying this one as well. I like the storytelling. I like that we have like a witchy kind of situation where she has tarot cards that she can influence and thus see into the future of people because she is descendant of an Egyptian god. But yeah, so far really happy with those. So I'm not gonna take this. Still not sure about this one. Sure about this one. Not sure about this one. I'm not sure if this video is actually going to help me decide. I'm probably going to decide like on the day of. Let me know down in the comments if you know of any books that I missed that I have to read in your opinion, that are set in Egypt. That would make me really happy. I haven't continued with this one yet, but I do think that I'm at this moment going to try some more first chapters just to get a feel for them. Okay. I was kind of distracted because I was, like I said, watching Sprints with Becca and something creepy happened. So I was kind of distracted, but I made some decisions, probably not all of them, but here we go. I didn't read too far into these books. I just went with my gut on some of them. So this I will probably take with me because I know I love her writing style. Like I said, she's a friend of mine and I love the story already from what she told me. And just from the dedication, it says, for everyone who wants to grow old with their best friends. Yes! Because I know that this is actually a fantasy story, like an urban fantasy story set where I live or near where I live. And it doesn't have a romance in it. So she made it that very clear. So I'm really happy to have one of those stories where romance isn't like the main plot. Really happy. I decided not to take this with me. I don't think it has anything to do with Egypt. I'm not sure where the person who put together a list got that from. I do think that I will enjoy this just from the first couple of pages. The writing style I already like. I already like the premise of it, but it is a special edition. It was signed by the author. I think it was like an extra book in one of the book subscription boxes, and I don't want to bring like a special edition even if it's just paperback. This is gonna stay here and I'm hopefully gonna get to it very soon, because I am interested in reading it. Ooh, there goes my pumpkin. This I already like from just the first few pages, but like I said, I'm gonna leave this special edition home, and if I have the time I will try to read the ebook that I have. I think I'm gonna take this one with me. It's Indian inspired, so it's not Egyptian, but it does have a desert, and I also have the audiobook for this, and I like the narrator of that one. So I think, again, small format, that's gonna work perfectly, and from the first couple of pages that I've read of this, I really like it. I think I'm gonna leave this series home because I have read this one, and even though it would be amazing to have like a little photo shooting with this, like in the desert with the pyramids in the background or something, just from flipping through the pages I remember enough of it. So I think I will at some point reread some parts of it and then continue with the story, because I did enjoy this one. We gave it 5 stars, so I do want to continue and find out more about the 3 people that this is about. So this will stay here. Now with this one, I'm not sure. I did start and I read the first 1.5 chapters because after the first chapter we had a POV shift. So I wanted to see if I like that POV as well. So far we don't get much because this is kind of sci-fi. It's set on another planet, like long time in the future. And I haven't gotten too much into the plot of it, but I'm not sure if I want to take this heavy book with me because this is self-published. I do have the audiobook and the ebook of this, so I could continue on during my holiday, or I might actually just wait until I'm back. Like I said, this doesn't have anything to do with Egypt, so it's not important for me to read it then. But I was kind of intrigued because of the whole Rick and Evie thing. So because they haven't met yet, I can't say for sure if that's even a thing in here. So those are my decisions as of right now. So I'm guessing these 3 will come with me to Egypt, and maybe the novella of this one, and maybe this one. Is that too much? Maybe. Oh my god. Oh my god. I think it's too much. I'm only gone for like 9 days. Oh. What am I doing? This might have been a mistake, but I don't know. I'm intrigued to find out more about these. So there will probably be some rearranging and some rethinking, and I still have to do like my TBR game, so maybe I will switch it up with that as well. Who knows? But as of this moment, I think these 4 will come with me to Egypt. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of them and what you thought of them. Again, let me know down in the comment if you read any Egyptian inspired books that you think I should check out. And until the next time, I hope you have all the great reads. Bye!